Well, happy Wednesday, everybody. Oh, you know what? The sound's not on. You know what? I don't actually think... no, I probably should turn the sound on just so I can hear the beep if somebody says something. I don't know if many people will be showing up this morning, because this is outside of my typical time. So, if not, that's fine. They can always watch it later. So if, for some reason, I say some reason as if I really have an expectation that lots of people are going to show up. I don't know why I said that like that. If for some reason the thousands and millions of people who show up to all of my streams don't, I don't know why they wouldn't, but if they don't, well, I don't even know where I don't really even know where that came from. If people don't see this now, then they can just watch it later. That's where I was trying to go with it. All right, okay. I'm just posting in all the different Discords. There we are, and I think I have one left. There we are. All right, let's close Discord. Okay, social stream. I knew there was something else. I'm like sitting here going, there's one other thing. So if I select live, oh good, it's already up. Wow, sweet, I can get rid of all these other ones. I really can. There's all these on here, and I know they're not going to do anything. That's fine. I will be nuking those very shortly. Okay, so let's post. Let's see. Good, I got my live link. Okay, verified that. Okay, let's post that there. And I believe, yes, that's it. So I am now done posting things. So let's see here. Let me move this. And let me get my keyboard out of the way so that I can put my iPad where it should go. And then we'll be ready to go. So let me, here, 2 seconds. Let me just make sure I have the two windows I need. All right, I do. I'm actually gonna move this up. Hello, come on, buddy, move up. Sorry, you can't see this. I'm moving things around on my iPad screen. I've got to offload some of this stuff. Anyway, that's a separate problem for another time. Let's go ahead and trigger the opening. And then if everything is working, you should see my iPad in a second. Here we go. Ta-da! Hey, it works. You can see I made my QR code bigger. Just so it's easier for people to scan it. Oh, you know, I wanted to make I can't during the thing. I have to make the Walkman bigger too. We'll get to that. So what we're looking at, I'm sure you recognize it, is the Cyberhead, which is actually almost done. I am nearly finished with it. I decided to do a couple things differently. I've gotten rid of most of the empty spaces in it because I want this line work in there. I did also adjust the chin. I don't know if it's really obvious. If you look at the other versions, you'd see it. This space was more sharp. I think I'm actually going to change it even further because I kind of don't like how sharp those edges are, even though I've softened them. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. Let's get this pen should be the right size. It is. I'm going to soften these even further. I just don't really like how sharp these are. So let's turn off the detail lines for a minute. Let's turn off the colors for a minute. Put the background on, turn that off. Oh, I guess I don't need that either. Okay, so let's just soften lines are. The more I look at them, the less I like them. So we're just gonna, of course I forgot to turn the assist on. Hold on, let me turn the assist on. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a bend on that like that. I just like the idea of the softer lines on there. Yeah, that should be good. And so now I can just go into the face line work, go to the assist, get the small eraser, or the smaller eraser, and just soften that line like that. Get rid of that, and then we just have to adjust the detail lines. And this, we're just gonna have it, let's see, how do I want this to happen? Like that. That's fine. That's a lot better. Is that line thicker? I think it might be. Huh, interesting. Huh. Yeah, it looks like that line's thicker. I must have used, what did I use on that? A 5 or a 10? Huh, yeah, it's a 5, but that's all right. Okay, well, Hey, look, that's easy enough. All I got to do is go back to this. Actually, I'll get the smaller brush just so I can do this more intently. And I did specifically use the word, oh, that's why it softens the line. Yeah, okay, no problem. Yeah, I don't like, is it, no, I guess I should do it from the underneath. So something like this. Just barely thicken that line so it looks better. Okay. Now let's firm that up. Yeah, okay, that looks better. Yeah, I like that better than the harsh lines. So let's go ahead and merge that down. Let's turn the assist off on this in case I accidentally do something stupid. Then I got to go into the detail lines. I'm going to have to adjust those because you can see they bleed over. No big deal. That's a very simple thing to fix. We just take our eraser and we just blend those right, or not blend, erase those right out. There we go. And then we will go to our line. Oh, I'm gonna have to extend those lines. Interesting. An unexpected consequence. Okay, well, you know what? That's not hard. I can do that. Is that this one here? No, where's that one? Where is that one? That's a good question. Where is it? It's gotta be one of these. No, there it is. Okay. So now we go to our white pen. And this should be the correct size. Yes. Yeah, is it? Yeah, it is. It is. And we just need to extend these. Well, first of all, erase whatever that is. Oh, boy. Look at those edges. Oh, no. No. We have to fix that. That must be... Oh, no. We need to fix that, too. That cannot be allowed to stay like that. Ugh. I had a thought earlier. Not earlier today. I had a thought earlier than now. Sorry. I have an idea for something. A kind of shorter form video series. Not that I'm specifically trying to make short videos for YouTube, but I genuinely don't think these videos would need to be very long. But I was looking at a logo the other day, and I thought, I like talking about logos and logo design. So, and then a show title popped in my head, which was Logo Lust, or Lust for Logos, something like that. I think Logo Lust is better. And it would just be a short series where I would talk about, pick up a logo, talk about why it works, why I like it. Again, I don't think that's something that needs to be an hour long. I mean, don't get me wrong, I can make anything an hour long. I absolutely can make anything an hour long. But I would envision it as more like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes maybe. It may not even be that long. Maybe a visual version of a Daily 5. But it would definitely be more infrequent. I wouldn't do any type of regular release schedule. I would just kind of do them whenever. And I have to figure out the formatting. I'm not even anywhere near saying, oh, next week the first one will be... I don't. I haven't even looked at how I would do it. But I have this... I want to do it. I kind of have this feeling. When I thought of it, I thought, yeah, that's something I would enjoy doing. Minimal editing. It really wouldn't have to be all that complicated. Why is that like that? What is that dot? Whoa. Oh, that dot should not be there. That's just an accident. Must have tapped something. Simple stuff. Doesn't have to... I'm not trying to do 3,000 videos and different types of series and all that stuff. I really am not. So, but I like the idea of it. The idea appeals to me of doing something like that. Highlighting logos. Oh, I have to extend that line too. All right. Well, we're doing a few things here. Just doing that means a couple things have to be done. So, that's probably detail line. No. There it is. All right. Whoa, what did I just do? What did I just do? Okay. Oh, I see what I did. Let's switch to black. Let's extend this line. Actually, I don't like how that line looks at all at the bottom. So we're going to fix that right now. So let's bring that down. There we are. No, come back. Thank you. Although you still don't look right to me. I think I'm supposed to go down one more step. I think it's a really thin... Yeah, it is. It's a very thin line. Okay. No. Thank you. There we are. Let's extend that down. Yeah, that's good. I don't think the other ones were affected. No, they're not. So now we got to go back to white. That's now too thin, definitely. So we go up to 3. And let's see. Okay. I wanted to make sure because I have my sound off, so I have to periodically look up to see if anybody sent a message. Somebody did. That's fine. Just want to make sure I'm not ignoring it. There we are. Oh, let's do this one too. So I do need to drawing. No, not clipping mask. No. Sorry. Drawing assist. There we are. Let's extend this down. Okay, and then we have to go to this one. Yes. And then we do the extension. Oh, that's ugly. No. Better. There we go. Well, I think the part of the problem is you can see how these lines bend on the bottom. It's because originally these did not go down this far, so I really wasn't caring what the bottoms look like. So they could just kind of curve and nobody cared because you couldn't see them. But, you know, now you will. So now it becomes important. One note, this stream will probably be, it's already been 11 minutes. Probably be around an hour, but I may have to pause it here or there because my wife is actually driving right now to go and meet her parents. They're going to play bingo at a casino nearby. Her, apparently it's a very neat thing. I'm not a bingo person, I'll be honest. I'm really not. Bingo is fun for usually 3 rounds, and then I'm bored. Not much of a gambling person. But also, I just find bingo to be, again, the first 3 games, fun. After that, I'm kind of like, all right, I'm ready to do something else. But they like it. Her parents and my wife likes it a lot too. So I said, go, have a great time. You know, win some money because it's at a casino, so you can actually win money at it. Those lines look awful. I have to fix those now that I look at them. Oh boy, does that look bad. Yeesh, yeah. Man, what happened there? How did I not see that before now? Yikes. All right, let's get that fixed. We'll start with this one. So anyway, so if she calls, just because I said, well, let me know once you get up there, so I know you got there safe. Not that it's a particularly dangerous drive or anything. Luckily, the roads are fine. There's no danger or anything, but I like to know she got there okay anyway. So if she calls, I will probably put the stream on mute for a minute. Also, there's a good chance, unless this is extremely short, that I will need to feed my dog. And so if I do that, I will actually try to mute it correctly so that you don't hear all the... Because I know on a mic like this, the high end can be really shrill, and the sound of dog food being jangled around probably is not what you want to hear. Actually, is my... Okay, I didn't see my mic meter. I have to figure out how to move mic meters on this thing. I'm pretty sure you can. I just always forget about it. So I do have to adjust where those are. Yeah, that looks better. Much better. Yeah, I can live with that. Oh boy, those other lines were terrible. Where's that line? I should put one more line in here too, just to kind of balance that out. All right, well, if I'm going to balance it out, it should be an even line then. There we are. Better. Yeah, I'm okay with that. That's that. That's all fine. Okay, well, these are good. Okay, so, right, those are all good. Now let's go up to the top here. That's that line. That's just that one? All right, well, I'm going to start. All right, so what I'm going to do up here is I'm going to just start. Now, these are going to look wrong. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Is that underneath that? Yes, perfect. All right. You'll see what I'm doing in a second. It's not going to look right for a minute, but you'll see it. So I'm just going to waver my lines because I'm going to have the... I don't really mind if these lines... I mean, I'm going to cut out the intersecting bits. But I thought about it, and it's interesting to have all these lines. I don't normally do everything lined like this, at least not in this way. So, you know what? I'm going to fade this down a little bit just so I can see through it really easily because I want these to all follow the same general pattern. But yeah, I thought about doing it like this. I don't have to go all the way through. I could just follow it at the end. That's... Some purists would say, well, the flow of the line, if you go all the way through, is better. Whoa! Okay, hallucinati? Awesome, okay. Fellow artists, let me run this idea by you for feedback before I commit to it. Wait, oh, whoa, sorry. This should be visible. I forgot to click the button. Sorry about that. Hold on. Did I click the button correctly? Hold on, let me do a quick test here and make sure. I forgot to do that when I started. Whoa, why isn't it visible? Okay, hold on. Sorry, I want people to be able to see this. I'll read it in a second. Hold on. I completely forgot to make sure that the box was showing up. Of course it is. Hold on, I'll find it. It's right. Let's see, social stream. Give me 2 seconds. Is it this one? Oh, I don't think it's that. I did hit the button, didn't I? Preset, click. Okay, hold on. Sorry, give me a second. Is it that? Yes, I think it's that. Hold on, let me verify. Test 2. Oh God, I don't spell that right. Yes, okay, now I think it's totally visible. All right, let me read this. Fellow artists, let me run this idea by you for feedback before I commit to it. Post-apocalypse. Zombies eventually just got full, and then they could enjoy their pseudo-immortality in nature like toddlers. One surviving girl spends her 18th birthday with her long zombified, near brain-dead father. Interesting. Interesting. You know, I don't think I can recall. Hold on. I don't think I can recall any form of media or story that considered the zombies basically not being hungry anymore. I can't think of one. There may be one, but I can't think of one. So the idea that they would eventually stop because they got full is a good one. I like that. And the idea of a survivor hanging out with her father who becomes like a toddler. Interesting. I mean, it's like I said, I can't think of another movie that did that. I've seen movies where you have the zombies and they don't attack anymore. Not many, and I've read a couple books with that. Although they weren't. The one book was not a post-apocalypse. It was after a fungal infection. That was called Severance. I read that one fairly recently, and that's where the zombies weren't malicious. They were just slowly winding down, and then they would eventually just stop. But they weren't a threat. And I know like Fido is where they've got them domesticated, but nothing where they actually just got to a point where they didn't need to eat anymore. It's an interesting idea. I like it. I like the idea that, okay, what happens if the zombies just become full? So the question I would have, well, if you've thought this far, maybe you haven't, this might be the beginning of an idea. So are the zombies in this scenario, are they, I just realized that line's too thick. Are the zombies in a perpetual kind of preserved state, or are they slowly rotting? Like, will they eventually just stop? Or is the idea that your version of the zombies would be, I mean, I guess immortal would be the correct term. I could leave the reason ambiguous. Yeah, that's fine. No, I'm not saying you have to define the reason. I like the idea that they just stop. That there was a point where they were a threat, and if there is no reason, that's actually okay. The only thing about not having a reason, I'll say this, and maybe this is your plan, is if you don't give, man, that line just doesn't look right to me. Hold on a minute. I gotta get this right or I'm gonna go crazy. No, it's still, okay, I see what I'm doing. I'm starting too far out. There we go. Okay, sorry. So, the only downside to not explaining, hold on, let me just switch this so I can actually hear. There we go. And turn the volume. Oh, there, I heard it. No more rot, sun damage. Oh, sun damage. Ooh, that's an interesting idea. Sun damage. Okay, we'll get back to that in a second. I like that. I like the sun damage thing. So, the only thing about not explaining why they stopped is that logically a reader would sit there and go, well, wait a minute. If they just suddenly stopped, you would have people, hey, chill mode. Hey, happy Saturday. If you didn't explain why they stopped, you would have some faction of people who would be saying we should just kill them because they could start back up. Whereas if it becomes clear why they stopped, then you can explore the idea of what is life like when you have zombies that are not a threat. So it just depends on what your story arc is. Now, if you don't get into the idea of having an antagonist, if it is more of an exploration of what life is like with creatures that don't have this, that are not human, but are not a threat anymore, like there's an interesting story to explore in there. You can start to get into the idea of, well, would we eventually try to make them into what we remember them being as opposed to really dealing with what they are? Because there's interesting narrative stuff in there as well. It's an interesting idea because you can go a lot of ways with it. It's a good idea. I like it. I'm not a writer, so, I don't have an idea factory running up here. Hold on, I'm going to get a sip of water. But I think the idea has a lot of merit because, again, I can't think of a lot of examples of something like it. And that makes it interesting. Because, like I said, I've seen stories where the zombie, the one in the Severance book is the one where people become zombified and they just go through the patterns of their old lives. So they're not really like toddlers. Now, let me see. Well, I'm thinking it's just... Wait a minute. Why? Okay, good. It is showing up on the screen. I want to make sure it was showing up. Well, I'm thinking it's just the one survivor. She may have a goal to travel, potentially 100 years in the future. Cities complete. Well, okay. There too. If it's that far into the future... If it's that far into the future... Well, it can't be... How would she have been born? Because if you're saying she's 18... and she's the only survivor, where would she have come from? I'm not trying to derail anything here. I think the core idea is really good. Yeah, it's an interesting idea. I mean, there's stuff you have to work out. This is why people can't just sit down and write a book in a weekend. Or, I mean, most people. I'm sure somebody can. But I like the idea of it. I think it's an interesting premise. Because it lets you kind of... I mean, I don't know if one of your secondary goals is to kind of explore the idea of like Alzheimer's and dementia and what it does to people, because they do become different. Okay. All right. Then that's good. No, because that would be what I would be wondering is, okay, where did she come from? So that's good. If that's the mystery, okay, so that answers another question, or that solves, I shouldn't say answers, that solves one of the other things that I was saying, which I was going to say, do you have an antagonist? Well, then the mystery is the antagonist. Then you're fine. That's it. You're good. That's what I was getting at is, not that I necessarily myself always need this, but most readers, they want something, they need a what's the word for it? A driving propellant of some kind to keep reading. Now, I'm perfectly fine reading a book that goes absolutely nowhere, but I'm not a standard reader, and you should not expect to sell enough copies or whatever based on me. Okay. Well, I mean, and here's another thing, by the way. I say that because that's where people will jump to, but I don't think every story has to be an analog or a metaphor or a substitute. Like, stories can just be stories. We have become a little bit too into the idea of, well, this is a placeholder for this. Now, if that's what you want to do, do it. I'm not saying don't do it. But now every story that has any fantastical element becomes, well, what they're really talking about is the dissolution of a marriage. What they're really talking about is losing a child. What they're really talking about, it's like, not everything is secretly talking about something else. Sometimes people just have really interesting, wild ideas and want to do a movie about them. So do the analog if you want, but I'm saying don't feel compelled to. But that's what people will say. Zombie stories generally become metaphors for most people for disease, or a societal commentary like the Romero films, which are, about consumption and consumerism and, how we turn on each other. It's not the main thing. It's got a multifaceted thing here going on. It's about acceptance, death, the rat race. Okay, yeah, that's great. Then go for it. Like I said, even if you don't want any of that, I think the core premise is immediately interesting. So that's the important part, is there's a hook to it, which is your idea that they stop. So at one point they did consume people, they stop, and now, well, now what? That's enough right there. So yeah, I think the idea is really interesting. I mean, I would absolutely say I'd be curious what the story would be. But just based on the idea, I think it's in a type of story. Hold on, I want to concentrate on this line because I usually can't talk and do these very well. In a genre that is often overcrowded, I think you have an interesting idea there. Because it's not like we haven't seen zombie stories. But that's an interesting twist on it. Because like I said, I can't easily think of something like that. Now, in fairness, it's not like I've read every zombie book that exists either, but like I said, I think it's an interesting idea. I'm just concentrating as I do this line so I don't mess it up at the end. Not that it would matter, I could fix it. But yeah, I like the idea. It's something different. I think it's got a lot of potential. Why is my dog going crazy? What? Hold on. Why is my dog flipping out? That makes me think there might be a delivery. She's really good at hearing trucks. Hold on, I'm just looking. I don't think so. Hold on, let me just get up and make sure there's not something she actually senses here. I don't think there's anybody here. Hold on, let me look. I will look. Sorry, everybody, give me a second. I'm just going to check. I don't think so. Oh, yeah, there is. Oh, yeah, it is a delivery. Okay, okay. It's just a box. All right, I'm going to pause this for... I mean, I'm just going to put the mic down for a minute. I'm going to go grab this box, so I'll be back in a second. So she was right. She heard it. Be back in 2 seconds, everybody. All right. Sorry about that. My little Mechagodzilla came. So, all right. Whoa, here we go. All right. Good timing. It opens with the panic that a young girl is going to get mauled by zombies, but then she jumps out and scares one. She's young and her father has doodles and marker all over his tattered and discolored shirt. Fast forward before the journey, she watches a home video of her parents in the hospital room for her birth, revealing it's her father. Oh, okay. Hey, like I said, I'm sold already. I think that the basic premise is strong enough that, honestly, I think you have something there. Because just the idea that they stop is compelling enough. And then, you know, the core mystery is good on top of that. But really, like I said, I can fix that. The hardest thing is to come up with the compelling idea to begin with, and I think you got that. So, yeah, I think you got something there. Because to me, I'm just sitting here thinking, oh boy, that's got a lot of possibilities to it. You know, not only for the the story you have now, but you could just do series of stories with different kind of reactions and what's going on all over the place. So, like I said, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. I'd be curious where you take it. So by all means, keep me in the loop on it, because I would be curious about it. Because it's hard. That's the thing is, it's hard coming up with that idea. Trust me, even visually, it's hard coming up with an idea. Oh, sure. No, happy to. Like I said, I like the idea of it. What did I do? Oh, I see what I did here. This has got to get adjusted a little bit. It's something original in a type of story where we see a lot of the same thing. A lot of the same thing. So to have something new... Oh, I didn't turn on them. I forgot to turn on the assisted drawing. Okay. It's all right. I knew it. I knew it. Okay, hold on. I knew I did that. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I just knew that I forgot. But that's all right, because what I'm going to do is... Wait a minute. Are these all... Oh, I didn't realize I dropped the opacity on all these. Interesting. Huh. I did not realize I did that. Okay, let's move this to here. Let's go ahead and merge that down. Then we'll drop that to 50. I may reconsider dropping those, but I'm not going to worry about that right this second. All right, so that's this, right? Yeah. Turn on the assist. I'll go over the lines I already did. I cannot believe I forgot to turn the friggin' assist on. I mean, I can believe it. Of course I can believe it. I knew it. I knew it the minute I went to check. I'm like, you know what? I know I didn't turn that assist on. It's okay. It only takes a second. Just going to go over my own lines. Let's see. That's what led me to think the idea of I love zombies so much the exact same thing. How many Walking Dead spin-offs? Yeah, well, that's... Yeah, I mean, Walking Dead is an interesting one because I read the comic when it started, and I enjoyed it for a while, but honestly, it got so bleak that I really stopped wanting to read it. And then, yes, but it's the core, it's the same idea. I mean, if we're just being honest about it and being objective, and I'm not even necessarily, this isn't necessarily even a criticism, really, but it's not anything new. Walking Dead is just Night of the Living Dead again. It really is. It's not that much of an original idea. It's not. That's not to say it's bad. I'm not saying anybody who likes it is a dummy or anything like that. You can like stuff. Look, I like lots of things that are basically imitations of other things. In fact, I like quite a few things that are imitations of other things. But zombies in particular, I feel like a lot of them end up boiling down to, here's why people are the real monsters. Okay, I'm not disagreeing. But I've seen that story. So what's the new angle? You know? And somebody will probably respond with, well, wait a minute. I mean, George Romero's movies were basically the same type of story over and over and over. That's true to a degree, but the small differences matter. Night of the Living Dead is about one thing. Dawn of the Dead is about another thing. Day of the Dead is about another thing. Now, when you get into Land of the Dead, because I really don't even bother with any of the other movies Romero did, I'll be honest. I think those were his core four. I really do. Those four movies. Land of the Dead, I wish was a little bit better. I don't revisit it the same way I do all the other three. Night of the Living Dead I generally watch once a year. Dawn of the Dead I watch a few times a year. And then Day of the Dead I watch a lot because I love Day of the Dead. I don't know why. That's my favorite one. There's something about the whole setup of that I really, really like. But Land of the Dead, I don't even remember the last time I watched it, to be honest. And I don't like saying that because I do think it's a well-made movie. But I think in some ways, its criticism is also, to kind of go back to the Walking Dead idea, it's kind of stuff Romero already did better before. There was already a pretty good criticism of the selfishness of in bad circumstances. Like, he already covered that ground. I've already seen his stories on that, and I think they're great. So Land of the Dead kind of... I mean, I love Dead Reckoning. I love the supercar, or the bus for going out and looting. Like, that's neat. And I like the people in it. I think everything about it is well done. It just felt like it was, in many ways, although that did also give a little bit of an evolution to the zombies, where they were kind of plotting and planning. Like, the one was kind of being a leader and was thinking to some degree. That would have been the more interesting way to go with that movie, would be to have more of it be about that. Let's see. Like a zombie freezes in its track, mouth agape, staring at a deer grazed mere feet away. They don't move because they don't want to scare it and have it run. The zombie's just enjoying the chance to be that close to a deer. Yeah, it's an interesting idea. Like I said, I'm sold. I do like the concept that if a zombie's... Because what you're talking about, too, is kind of it's the beginning of what makes a person, right? When you're a baby, an infant, very, very young, all of your functions are essentially zombie functions. You want to eat. You want to drink. You want to do basic things because they are instinctual impulses, not because you have a real awareness of what you're doing, of what it means, of whether it's something you want to do or you have to do. That's all. It's that what you're talking about with the toddler thing, that toddlers are zombies. They really are. I mean, infants until a certain point, we are zombies. We don't know what we're doing. We don't have good motor control. We're kind of flailing about. Like, it's all there. The parallel is very clear. And then there's a point where you start to realize things. Yeah, you're right, because that's the other end of the spectrum is when you're more aware of the weight of time, and also once you're past a certain point where working is the primary thing you have to do, it does become different. Perceptions change, perspective changes. That's part of the thing about becoming older, is you do start to look at things differently. You start to see things in a different light. And not everybody. There are older people who work until very, very well, and basically until they're forced not to, because they don't like the idea of sitting there and just looking around and drinking things in. I'm pretty sure I will be one of the people who sits there and just enjoys watching clouds go by. Because I think it's fun to just not have a point to doing anything for a while. It is like a decompression for your brain. It's just to sit there and watch a cloud drift by. But a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people, that's just like the worst possible thing. So those people can't handle it. But yeah, no, it is an interesting idea. And like I said, it's something new in an entertainment space that definitely needs fresh ideas. I mean, I keep hearing 28 years later is supposed to be good, that it does kind of some interesting things, so that's good. People are trying to not just tell the same old stories, but like I said, I mean, you can find so many of the laziest throwaway zombie stuff. I want the reader to almost be envious of the train. Oh, that's another good aspect. I like that too. See, that's an interesting angle, and this is where, for somebody who was just complaining about how repetitive everything is in the zombie space, that's where you get a benefit, because everybody's going to expect certain things. They're going to be like, oh, okay, this is a zombie story, so I know what's going to happen, A, B, C, and D. And now, because you're trying to do something different, you can mess with them, which is great. That's what you want. You do want it where somebody comes in expecting like they're going to be one step ahead of you, and instead they really have no idea what you're doing. Not in a bad way. There's no idea what you're doing in a negative way, which is a lot of bad movies where people are like, what's going on in this movie? I don't understand what's happening. That's bad, don't know what you're doing. But good is where they think they've got it figured out, and in fact, they don't. That's great. The old subverting the expectations thing, which a lot of times can be a gimmick and one that not many storytellers do well. But when it is done well, it's pretty awesome. So yes, that's where the metric ton of zombie movies that already exist, where they tell this basically the same story, the Walking Dead spin-offs that you're talking about, that will benefit you because you will be able to play against those stereotypes and be like, yeah, well, you came in expecting the same old zombie thing. You're not getting that. We're doing something different here. So that is one thing I think we don't as creators sometimes appreciate is I don't mind all the garbage. I don't watch most of it or consume most of it. But I appreciate that it's there because then I can be surprised by things. And that's nice too. Hold on, I'll look up as soon as I do this last line here. Okay. Seems like you have a pretty good handle of your story. No, you know what? I mean, I shouldn't say I've never tried it. I've tried it in minor ways, and my co-host and my best friend, he is an author, and you know, I've talked to him about it, and he says, yeah, you know, you're really not structured to be a writer. It will be, and I think he's right because a couple times I've tried it, it has been more of a frustration than a joy, and that's kind of what he said is, yeah, you're not really built for that. It's not really the way you want to tell stories. If anything, I could do, if such a thing existed, but I mean, I could be a narrator for something and tell a story, but as far as actually writing, yeah, it's outside of very, very basic stuff. Like I have a long gestating script for a video review of Total Recall 2070. No, not 2070. Is it 2070? I think it is 2070. Yeah, I think it is. It is Total Recall 2070. The Showtime series. I've written that script. I'm constantly revising it. But I mean, even that, which is nothing in terms of writing, I've been revising that thing for I don't even know how many years now. Whether it'll ever get made or not, I don't know. It probably will. I generally, if I really want to do something, I eventually get to it. Just when, I don't know. But it's one of those things on the back burner. So, yeah, I've never really tried it, but I don't know that I'm suited to it. It doesn't feel like the times I have tried it that I am particularly well suited to it. You know what? I think I do want this to be at 50%. Let's see. Where are the ones that are at 100%? Let's see. Turn it up to 100. Max that out. Or maybe not. Maybe I do want these at 100. I think they're better when you can see them. Now that I look at them. I think maybe because at first I was doing them to be more subtle, I was kind of not hiding them. Hiding them is the wrong word. Those ones on the neck, I don't think I want to be at 100 though. Or maybe I do. Let me turn the background color off and just see. Maybe it's not bad. I don't know. I don't know yet. Huh. Well, I can just leave them at 100 for now. I can always turn them down. So, it's not like I'm committed to it just because I did that. All right, let me see. Those are... Where's that one? Where's the ones I just did? Oh, that's that one. Okay. Let's go ahead and... Is that full? Yeah. Let's merge that down. There we are. Let's do a new one. All right. And we'll do these mid lines here. Turn on the thing. There we go. What time is it? Oh, I have to feed my dog very soon. So I will probably pause this when I do that, because like I said, I don't want you to have to... that line was going okay, but actually, you know what? That's how I can avoid that problem. Actually, hold on, I'm gonna... do I have enough layers? Let me see something, hold on. I think I have an idea of how to do something, but I'm gonna check these on next. I think they are. Okay, good. I need to get myself back some layers, because I've used a lot of layers in here. That's down there. That's the black layer, so I'm gonna do that one. Okay, let's see here. My brain is not wired for 2D art. I can write and I can sculpt it. Well, it's funny because I'm the opposite. See, that's the thing. It tells you right there. I'm the opposite. I can't sculpt for anything. I had to do sculpture when I was in college. It may have been one of the things I hated the most in my entire life. I admire people who can do it. I can't do it. I mean, I tried, and was not for me. All right, I'm going to feed my dog very briefly, so I'm going to turn on the be right back thing, because this will be a minute or so, so let me do that. I'm going to mute myself so you don't have to hear me like shoveling kibble into a plastic bowl. I'll be back in probably about 3 minutes, so I will be right back. Okay, here we are. I'm quite neurodivergent. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I am too. In fact, that is something this year, when I go for my physical, I'm going to get myself diagnosed with whatever is going on with me. Because it's something. And I feel like finding out what exactly it is. Not that it really matters at this point in my life. Whatever. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Why did it do that? Why? Wait, did I put the assist on? Hold on. No, I didn't. Why did it do that? That's really weird. Well, you know what? Let me do this. Let me turn on the 2D grid so that I can make a better what's the word for it? A better oval, a more symmetrical oval anyway. Well, I almost managed to. Hold on. Yeah, I'm just curious. My suspicion is it's probably standard issue ADHD or ADD. I don't know if I would. I know there is a difference, and I think it is the hyperactivity part. I don't know that I could. I don't know that I necessarily think I'm ADHD. But saying that, it might be. It's not impossible. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. What do I know? So it very well could be. We'll see. But I do want to find out. I do want to have somebody. Okay, it's like, well, all right, what do you got to do here? Let's figure out what this is, because I know there's something happening here, and I'd rather figure out what it is than just go, well, there's something different about me. I don't have any problem with that. I don't feel any stigma about it. It's not going to bother me, you know. Yeah, well, that's really what it is. It's not like I don't want medication. I don't want to, I don't want to be changed from what I am. It's not one of those things where I'm like, I don't want to be like this anymore. I'm at the midpoint of my life, and I've been fine. But it would be nice to not think it's just like, because if they come back and say, well, we can't find anything, that's like, okay, now I got to go talk to a therapist because there's something happening here. You know what I mean? It's more of just that. It's just to say, well, what is this? What is this? It's not that it's bad. I'm not negatively impacted. I have a wonderful wife who I'm happy with. I have a job. I have a life. It's all fine. Friends, all that stuff. It's all working. So it's not like I feel like I'm unable to function or anything. It's not that type of thing. It's just more of a, like you said, it's just to be like, okay, this is, it does that once in a while when I have a lot of layers. Like, okay, this thing has a name. This is what this is. I know what this is now. That's valuable to me. It's just to be able to say, all right, this is what it is. Now, when I have this impulse or whatever, or feel compelled to rearrange all the silverware in the drying rack to be in a certain order and that type of thing, I can be like, well, that's not just me being strangely eccentric. It's because of this. All right, that's fine. It won't change anything. I can't think that it would change anything. But it's nice when you know why something's happening. It's good to have a reason for things and to understand and to be able to kind of look at it and say, oh, well, that's why this is occurring. That's all. Let's see. Yeah, therapist interviews you, then they give you an IQ test. Like a week later, your normal doc will try and shove meds out. Yeah. Well, luckily, my doctor is not one of the ones who believes that medication is the answer to everything. So fortunately, I would not expect that to be the response, which is good, because I don't want that to be the response. I'm not looking to be medicated out of my mind. That is not my goal. It's more of just informational, like what is going on here. Let's figure out what this is. Let's place a name to it so that we know. And then when these odd things, when I notice these odd behaviors in myself, I go, that's that. That's all it's for. But like I said, I am very fortunate compared to some people I've talked to where, yeah, their doctor just wants to be like, all right, just take these and shut up about it. My doctor's not like that. My doctor is very much of the mindset that, hey, if we can avoid medicating, we're going to try. So that would be what I would expect from him is, okay, you got the diagnosis. We know what this is. Make sure I went too far. Well, that's the thing is I don't want to be, it's not a matter of me wanting to change what's going on. If I really felt like I was negatively impacted, that would be a different story, but I can't honestly say that I am. I should do that. I should leave that like that. I could get rid of that one. It's just a matter of wanting to know, like, just to have an idea of what's happening. That's really what it is. In the end, it's just a matter of being, okay, I've identified what this is. And it's not just in my imagination. Because like I said, if they come back and say, no, we can't find anything, well, then it's like, well, okay, what does that mean? So I would be lying if I said there isn't a part of me that's like, well, I hope they find something, because I don't feel like that. Oh, I just realized what I did. Hold on, get rid of that. There we go. Because I don't feel like this. Some of the things that I don't even know how to describe it. There are things that feel slightly off. Not bad. I don't have the impulse to, like, drive my car into a crowd of people or anything like that, fortunately. Nothing that actually genuinely would make me go, oh man, if this gets worse, I might do something really, really bad. It's not like that. It's like I said, the idea that why does it bother me that the spoons and the forks are in the same slot on the drying rack? Why does that bother me? Now, I can leave the house while it's like that, and it's not going to bug me all day. But if I'm in the house and I see it, I will move them because I'm there and I see it, right? So that's what I'm saying, is it's not something that is causing me to have problems. It's just a weird quirk, or really set of quirks, that I kind of feel like is not what most people necessarily have. And I'm just kind of curious what that's all about. Right? That's all it is. Let's see. You can tell your brain doesn't fit the puzzle like others do. It's also because we are living in a neurotypical world. Yeah. Although I'll be honest with you. I wonder how much it is. I wonder how neurotypical most people actually are, to be honest. Now, I'm not saying everybody is like we are. I think there are definitely people who are further out, but I think a lot of people hide things. I think a lot of people hide things because they're afraid they'll be looked at as strange. So this is one of the things that I've heard different people like debating. Well, are these instances of? I just heard this the other day. There was something about adult diagnosed ADD and ADHD, and the question was, well, is it happening? Is something causing it, or are we just finding it more? And the people on the panel, who are all scientists of different types, all generally agreed that they didn't think it was that there was something causing it. It's that we know what to look for now. And that people, as they know more people, as they themselves encounter more people, both in terms of their friends and their family who have these things, they are less hesitant to then at their next physical, the way I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I'd like to be tested for this. Because they're realizing that it's more typical than most of them start out thinking. And I think that's true of a lot of things. It's generally, you think how you are is normal, right? But you also find abnormality, however you define that, in others to be rarer than you think it is. It's not actually as rare as you think. And in fact, it's very possible that some things that you think are typical are not. It's definitely both. There have been many cases in which the general population is poisoned by some money-saving ingredient. Red 40. Oh, well, sure. Well, no, there's definitely that. There's definitely a component of that. But that's exactly, you're making my point, which is, it is, I think, more typical than we think. It's just the degree and how visible it is that is the variance. But that's what I mean about, I think it's way more common than most people really believe, because a lot of us have been exposed. It's why you see generations with similar things, right? You see instances of cancer, the same types of cancers in certain generations, depending on what they were eating and what they were consuming and that type of thing. So absolutely, there's an element of that, right? But there's also a commonality, and this is another thing where this is going to be strange to say this, but it's actually kind of a good thing that if it was more common, because it's something that once again reminds people that we're very similar. We get hung up on dumb differences, but we're in fact unified in many ways. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. A spectrum. And that's what a person I know who went to school for psychology and said is, oh, you're definitely on the spectrum somewhere. That's what they said. It's the exact wording. You know, didn't give me a diagnosis because obviously, you know, didn't have the diagnostic equipment, but said, oh, no, yeah, I can tell you right now you're on the spectrum just from knowing you. I'm like, oh, okay. And I didn't find that to be a bad thing. I actually found it to be comforting. Because again, I just want an explanation. I just want to know why things are happening. It doesn't bother me because I don't attach any stigma to it. Maybe that makes me different. I don't look at it. Okay, I'm going to sneeze, so I'm going to mute really quick here because am I going to sneeze? Hold on. I'm pretty sure yep. I didn't do it. Sorry. I tried to click it as the sneeze was happening. Sorry. I couldn't tell if I was just sneezing or if my nose was just kind of itching, but clearly it was a sneeze. Sorry about that. I tried. It's actually a vestigial behavior. Somehow being ADHD was beneficial to our... Well, yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me. Is in the days where we were living in caves and we didn't have, you know, technological advances, modern shelter, that type of thing, there were threats everywhere. You had to constantly be shifting and moving and bouncing around because you could be under assault from anywhere. Like, it does make perfect sense. It's not something that's completely inexplicable when you think about how we started out to where we are. You know, it makes a lot of sense to me. Whoa, what happened there? What happened there? Why are those all shifted? Oh, you know why? Because this is not, I know what it is. This is not truly, it's not truly uniform the way it looks like it is. That's fine. I'll fix that. I should have guessed that would happen, so let me just turn off the assist for a minute. That's not a big deal. It just means I have to do this a little bit by hand. It's okay. There we are. All right, we're good there. No, it makes sense. It really does. It makes sense to me. Okay, so let me just...